You've made it to Chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, Life Chiropractic College West. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 405 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Matthew Christenson. If you want to hear the story about how to grow your cash practice and business through leadership, stay tuned.
You'll be good.
Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Episode 405 today. I'm really blessed to have Dr. Matthew Christenson on with me today. I think we're going to share a lot of spotlight for how to make a better chiropractic business. But before we jump into this episode and we hear about Dr. Matthew's story of how he became an amazing chiropractor in this beautiful profession, I'm just going to lay down the big why behind Chirohustle. We protect freedom of speech. I think it's so important that we do this into perpetuity. As far as I can reach with our message, I will. We also protect the sacred trust. If you guys don't know what that is, go and look for BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. Maybe you can find a book on it. I don't know. I think books are still cool, or you can go into your favorite search engine and look for it too. We also support subluxation-based chiropractic. We believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence, and that when you adjust someone, it connects man or woman, the physical, to man and woman, the spiritual. And with that being said, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate you, brother, and thanks for the opportunity to speak and be a part of your mission. So.
Yeah, you know that there's a lot of work to be done, and we're not opposed to it, and that's something that makes this show really valuable to the chiropractic profession, and we're thankful to have you on.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate it, and excited to speak with you.
So you're coming in. You're up in North Dakota.
Way up in North Dakota. It's most people hear that and they get the look on their lips like they just bit into a lemon. Yeah, but that's home. That's where I was born and bred. And I was gone for a season. My 40 days in the desert, I was in Texas. I had a big practice, but got that going and just was called back home. So as I say, a goose always returns home.
Well, it's a powerful story. I am curious for our audience to be able to hear how you got into chiropractic, and maybe you can share with our audience your chiropractic story, because, you know, your friends, your family, practice members, colleagues are all going to hear this, and they might know you, but we can re-anchor them with like the genesis, the inception of how you got into chiropractic.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, the quick answer is I think the Lord directs our steps and teaches us lessons and problems. But when I was 14, I was a high school wrestler. It was a sport I enjoyed, I excelled at. And up here, we got about 10 months of winter. Well, it's about 6 or 7, but we like to snowmobile, which I don't think you guys do down south too much. But I was on a snowmobile and I was going probably 50 miles an hour. I hit basically over a dirt road, and I went flying through the air. And when I landed, I felt something in my back give, and I knocked myself out. I came through. The snowmobile was 30 yards away, and I just remember my back was hurting terribly. And somehow, some way, made it home. And my mom, of course, took me to the doctor, medical doctor, and gave me some pills. Didn't really do much. Gave me some pills, and after about 4 or 5 days of that and getting worse, we went back, and the doctor said, well, this might not be the right pill. So put me on another pill, and, another 4 or 5 days. And get to the point where I'm not wrestling, going to school, just sitting is terrible. And, after that happened 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 different meds, my mom finally said, hey, Matt, let's go to this chiropractor. I had heard about him. So we walked in, and honestly, he was kind of one of your he was actually a chiro that did it right. I mean, he actually x-rayed me, did a, motor sensory reflex exam. And, he did, he didn't really explain much, which but irregardless, he said, there's your problem. He was confident. It felt good. I'd never been through it, and he laid me down. He set my L5, and man, it was lights on. It was one of those miracle adjustments. If I could moonwalk, I would have done it at that moment. I got up, and I'm like, man, my body's been waiting for this for 2 or 3 weeks. This is amazing. And the thing I loved, he had a very humble spirit, like, well, yeah, this is common sense, and I just instantly, my mind made the decision, this is what I want to do, kind of at that point, Gene. So, and then later on in high school, I had a reaction to a flu vaccine when I was 17. Again, still wrestling, #1 wrestler in the state. And I got a vaccine, and within 12 hours, I was crippled with, after about 16 different meds and probably a half a dozen doctors, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So whatever that vaccine was in, it triggered autoimmunity in me, which I'm seeing a lot with COVID vaccine, by the way, right now, Jim, especially with neuropathy. But anyway, and again, I chased that white rabbit, on pills and pills. I was on 90 milligrams of prednisone a day to the point I developed almost Cushing syndrome. I had to get off methotrexate. It was killing my liver. I was taking Areva, Humira, just all kinds of stuff and getting worse. And one of the drugs kind of helped, but it cut my immune system in half. So I was sick all the time. And I started picking up chiropractic again. I don't know why I forgot about it, but I never knew it was more than just pain. And this chiropractor I've seen talked about how the nervous system controls the immune system, and they're one and the same. So started getting adjusted, and boom. I mean, now I'm off this med, and I'm off this med. Within a couple of years, I was off all of them. And that's 20 years ago, and I'm not on anything now. So again, when you're in the trenches, you don't always see that, in the valley is just a premonition to what's to come on the mountain. And again, every one of us is directed through good and bad experiences, in my opinion, the Lord's path for you, his mission and purpose for you. So that's my backstory.
Yeah. Just listening to you, I could see why you have so much conviction to serve and help others now. And there's that valley that you go into that you don't know if you ever come out of. So I'm thankful that you were able to get rechecked again by a chiropractor and start getting, regular care and realizing that it's not a pill, a potion, or a lotion.
Yeah. It's mind, body, spirit, soul. We're all, you can't have one without the other, so that's why I like chiropractors who are stuck on only treating the physical. They don't treat the mind, body, spirit. Like when you come into my clinic or Dr. Rob's, it's an experience. We talk about our 5 senses and innate. I don't care if you're BJ Palmer. If someone walks in and you got your ceiling's got those brown stains on the tile, your CA's a bulldog. She doesn't, what's your name? We talk about the red carpet experience, or what the Mercedes experience, excuse me. You want people to feel, people want, love, attention, affection, appreciation. People are dying for those things, Jim. That's why social media, you see these people that post 7, 8 selfies a week. Those are the most hollow, insecure, unappreciated people in the world. People are crying out for love and affection, appreciation. And you got to treat those things too. Mind, body, spirit. Okay. And I can trust with you because you acknowledge that as well. Some don't, but it's true.
Well, like I say in our opener, when you adjust someone, it connects man, the physical, to man, the spiritual.
Yeah.
And universal intelligence and innate intelligence. Like I always like to tell people, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but if you cut yourself, you don't have to look at that wound and say heal. The body is a self-regulating, self-healing organism. Like you don't have to you don't have to do anything more than just have the ability to heal.
Yeah. To think that we came from 2 rocks pounding into each other, like that takes more faith to believe in that than the fact that we were created by an intelligent, they talk about innate intelligence. It's the spirit, man. It's the Holy Spirit. it's in us,
Hmm.
so, and there's ways to release that, and chiropractic is one vessel for that, very powerful in my opinion. So yes, sir.
Yeah, it's the power that made the body heals the body.
Yeah.
It's old school rhetoric philosophy, but it
Yeah.
still matters, and it's just as important today as it was back in
Yeah.
1895.
Yeah. Truth never changes. It just, truth doesn't change.
So I think what makes you unique, you might want to just share with our audience, is this business that you built with Dr. Rob called
Yes, sir.
Clinic Masters.
Yep.
And I love some of the philosophy we're talking about off camera, some of the reasons that you guys do what you do.
Yeah.
Can you share that with our audience today?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'd be honored. So yeah, most chiropractors, we go to school. I always knew I wanted to be my own boss. Well, I hate that term, boss, leader, entrepreneur, if you would. I think most chiropractors are by nature, but I also knew I was not smart enough to know everything. So, I've always embraced the business part of chiropractic, and most chiros forget, Jim, we're in the business of healing. Without the business, there's no healing. And we're basically graduated, educated entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, chiros have the highest student loan default rate because most of us have pride, and pride will keep you from growing. And the thing is, unlike MDs who can, the only marketing they do, Jim, is a resume, and they're making $300,000-400,000 a year. Chiropractors, we're not. You got to be so many different hats. You got to be a healer. You got to be a cheerleader. You got to be a leader. You got to be in marketing. I mean, there's so many hats that's why a lot can't do it and do it well. So whenever you find people are doing it well, you got to take heed. So I started practice right out of school in 2010. I had a practice in Abilene, Texas. I moved down south with nothing but $300,000 in debt. Imagine that conversation with my wife. But she trusted me, and the Lord blessed us, worked my tail off. And I do GONSTEAD, Jim. That's what gives me confidence, and I built up a practice in 2 to 250 a week. Just the adjustment. I did some IST tables, but pretty much is, straight, and, some of these straights on here are probably rolling their eyes, but I mean, pretty much the adjustment. But the problem is when you see 70 people in a day, when you get home, your day as husband and father just begins. And I'd get home and I was finding the people that needed the most of me got the least of me. And that's not a good feeling, man. So built that up. We had intentions. We got pregnant with our son. We wanted to move home. So I got an offer on my practice. I couldn't refuse. So I sold my practice, moved home in 2016, and immediately I tore my ACL at a trampoline park. I was showing off to my 4-year-old daughter at the time, showing her how daddy can do backflips. Well, let's just say things in your mid-30s don't bend as well. So I tore my ACL and I went in, had a surgery, great surgeon, did his thing, handpicked him, paid him cash. And I tell you what, I was one of those lucky ones that didn't get better. I went through 3 months of what I referred to as physical terrorism. Just basically physical therapy. My knee wouldn't bend. I was still hurting. I was limping and just not doing good. And I went back to the surgeon. He wanted to do what's called a manipulation under anesthesia, where they knock you out and then they take your joint to the end and they force it. And I remember telling him, look it up. It's called an MUA. I said, no offense, doc, but I could get hammered and have my friends do that for free. So I was kind of, again, problems. They make you, you got to basically figure out solutions. So I figured out the latest techniques, treatments, equipment, kind of made it my own. And I put myself through, got my life back. And so I started fixing knees. And knees are cool because they're the most simple joint in your body. They just flex and extend. They're a door. There's only so much that can go wrong with them. But it's also the ones that you can give a miracle treatment to in one visit. Like I had 2 of them today. I had a guy drive 4 hours, one drove 2. The one on her test treatment after said she's 100 or 75% better. The guy said he's 100. And it's a thing to which we can tell someone, Jim, Mary, if we'll know today, more importantly, you will know if I can help you. And if I can, I'm upfront what the investment is, what it's going to take to get you your life back. If not, we're going to shake hands. And that's the God's honest truth, Jim. There's no sleight of hand here. The knee responds beautifully to the care that we call it the miracle quadrant. Basically, there's 4 things we do that lead to instantaneous change. The reason I got into neuropathy, because back when I was doing high volume, Rob and I call it slam and ham. Most chiros can relate to that, because you're basically chained to the table. You're basically a high-paid employee. 8 or 9 out of 10 patients with tingling in their feet, numbness in their feet would get better, but I always had 1 or 2 who wouldn't. And I know we don't want to talk symptoms and stuff, but symptoms help you know whether or not you're on target. And what I come to understand, everything needs nerves, blood, and oxygen. Well, I was addressing the nerve component, but we were lacking the blood and oxygen component. And my uncle had neuropathy so bad, he had parts of his feet cut off, and he basically laid in a bed high on opioids the last 4 or 5 years of his life. And that left a heck of an impression. So once we embrace things like the red light therapy, which, Jim, I know you're versed in, and it cause vasodilation, certain neuroelectrical devices that help reset the nerve, certain nutrients help rebuild the nerve myelin. These are the most grateful patients. So, but yeah, knee and neuropathy are what we focus on, and a doctor can build a 100 to 200 grand a month practice just doing those 2 things. So, and again, money's not everything, but money is a marker as to how well you're serving the Lord and serving His people.
One of my mentors always tells me, it's always a problem until you can write a check for it, and then it goes away.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah, and nothing. If you got a problem in life that money can't solve, you really then got a problem. But if you have the money to solve it, you don't have a problem. And people always can afford what's important to them, whether it's that 3rd pack of cigarettes this week, or that $1,000 a month lease payment of that truck they'll never. More people put money into vanity than they do themselves.
Well, I think it goes back to the people that you're caring for. There's a saying, it's very reflexive. It's like that knee, that, if a person has their health, they have a million dreams. Yeah. If they don't have their health, they have 1.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and then they come to you.
yeah. I had a guy 4 weeks ago. I was his 24th doctor. He'd been to Mayo Clinic twice, severe peripheral neuropathy. And I mean, that guy, just in a few weeks here, he can actually feel the carpet again. He was completely numb, which numbness is a sign that nerve's not even firing anymore. That's a scary thing.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, Life Chiropractic College West. Let's hustle.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think that we could call your care the Million Dream Care.
Yeah. Now we just got to figure out how to charge that for it.
Well, that's why I love chiropractic so well, is because it gives people's lives back.
Yes, sir.
And just like yours, when you were 14, it gave you the power back into your body. It reanimated you. Yes, and sir. I think a lot of people, they have these miracle stories, or they have this time in their life that totally changed them because they got under a chiropractor's guidance and got adjusted.
Yep.
I think that the more people understood that chiropractic is not about chasing pain, but about optimum performance and bringing people back online again. And that's just it, is our nervous system controls all of it. Yep. So like you said, they didn't tell you that your nervous system was one and the same with your immune system, and that when you would get adjusted, it would have an impact on your immunity when you started to feel better. And I think that so many times people don't realize that chiropractic's not about feeling better, it's about healing better. And when you're under a good care and you're consistent with it, I was just talking to a guy today, 9-figure guy, and he said, chiropractic should be used from cradle to grave.
Amen.
It should be used from day 1 to last day.
Yeah. It's, and you're exactly right, Jim. And it's, the problem our profession has faced is we don't really have a common you get 100 of us in a room, you get 100 different philosophies, techniques, treatment, and that's ego and pride getting in the way. But it's also hampers us. And I love the profession. I love all techniques, treatments. I mean, there's things I have some reservations about, but when you're serving others in the service of others, I mean, that's one of the most godly things you could be doing, is serving those that are broken in mind, body, and spirit. And you deserve to be paid for that. I mean, I think every chiropractor has the gift of healing, and to take that gift and squander it because you can't embrace something as talking finances or charging what you're worth. I mean, honestly, we're undercharging
all the time.
And Jim, you probably get docs. I mean, any chiropractor watching this, all of us have treated people who've had failed back surgeries, and they'll go to have 2 or 3 of them, and then they'll come to it. People always come to us last, but they expect the most. And I'm okay to tell someone, I can't even spell the word insurance. When you come in our clinic, it's a service for a fee. Okay. And we're very upfront about it. The problem with insurance companies, and I just straight up ask patients, Mary, do you think your insurance company truly cares about you? And we all know the answer. In fact, we call Medicare I don't care in our office, because they don't, and if they did, they wouldn't be in our office. They would have been fixed a long time ago. Whereas in our clinic, if we don't deliver, Jim, if you don't deliver a great show and get, I don't know how you get your funds and sponsorships and money, but if you don't generate revenue, brother, you're not in business. Same with us. I got 6, 7 people that if I don't put food on their table, if I don't deliver, they don't get food on their table. So I will go out of my way to serve someone and help them get their life back.
Well, that's just the beautiful thing about chiropractic, is it finds people that were in ruin and broken and don't know where to go or who to trust. And the chiropractor turns the lights on.
Yes, sir.
And it's something really special. And that's one of the reasons that we've been doing what we've been doing, interviewing over like 1,100 people, 1,100 chiropractors in the past 4 years, telling the story, because we can't penetrate the message fast enough. And people, I tell them that I do 5 shows on a Tuesday, and they think that that's a lot. And then I'm like, well, wait till we turn into a daily show. The world needs chiropractic messaging daily.
Yeah.
And everybody needs to do a podcast. Everybody needs to get more social on social. They need to start leveraging how they help more people. And that was the thing that kind of got me going early on in my career, was what can we do to get this message household? And I think that that's something to really inspire all of our listeners on, is how can you go out there and become an agent of change? How can you go out there and become Matthew Christenson and go out there and tell the story and serve people and learn how to render a good service and stay out of the insurance game and do a cash-based business and trade services for value. And like you said, people will go out there. I love this quote you said: the only guarantee in surgery is that they will cash your check.
Let's be honest. I've been through that.
Yeah.
And then it's, somehow we're held to a different standard, but yeah, you're right. I mean, there's no guarantees. To speak in guarantees means you're divine, and none of us are. That's why, Advil, Aleve, all those things, those kill 20,000 people a year. 20,000 people a year die from that. No one, just willy-nilly, just no one talks about it. And so there's no guarantees. Okay.
So let's talk a little bit more about you as the practitioner. You said you grew up wrestling. You recovered from a couple crummy incidences with poor health. And now what are you doing to make sure that you're staying healthy as you can? What are you doing for like daily healthy habits? Yeah,
well, Jim, my biggest thing is slowing down. Just I was 20s, early 30s, just go, 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 go. The older I get, and again, if anyone has children, the days are long, but the years are quick. So slowing down has been something big for me. I love to read. I love to read. I got probably 10 books I'm doing now. Social media, just that's where you don't go to get fed these days, especially in the time we're in, a lot of darkness right now in the world. but I love to read, be with my kids, I travel here and there. I'm into old cars, like to hunt. Unfortunately, I don't get as much of that done as much anymore now that my kids are doing sports and so forth. But man, I just, there's the old saying, you got to live in the moment, because that's the only time we have, right? So slowing down, exercise, of course, try to eat right. That's a little bit the hardest part, But yeah, and getting adjusted. I got an associate now, wonderful Dr. Jake. He's fantastic. And then honestly, I love just getting along with guys like you. And, I have a hard time, how should I say this? And I have no ego, Jim. I grew up in a 14 by 60 trailer, brother. When the wind took, my walls would vibrate. I still hate thunderstorms to this day. So I try to remain humble, and there's no ego here. But I have a hard time relating to a lot of people. I like to get around, and as you know, Jim, as you age, your inner circle gets smaller. And you just shared you're going to have some time with your buddies, the buddies that you can truly open your heart to and fellowship. That's what I love too. There's a few of my select friends that I just, we get together and have a good old time, and just network. And I love getting around entrepreneurs too, regardless of their profession, because entrepreneurs have a different mindset. Like when I'm sitting around, nothing against a 401k, but I'm, sitting around talking to someone who's, they're all excited because they're matching their 401k. I can't relate. I'd rather take that money and figure out a way to create value in the world. And, anyway, just I like getting around like-minded entrepreneurs and just people that are growing, trying to do better and provide more service and product. And, anyway, I really enjoy that too. So
yeah, I think mindset for you is huge. I think being a good father and a good husband is huge for you.
yes,
Being a practitioner, supporting your chiropractic brothers and sisters is huge. As I gotten to know you over this call and earlier, I'm really impressed by your character. I think that you're going to continuously help a lot of people with your systems. And I love what you guys are doing with Clinic Masters.
Yeah.
I think that you have to go. One of the things I tell people all the time in marketing, you have to give people what they want and sell them what they need.
Yeah.
And what you've done really well is figured out how to harvest the community and find people with high level needs, which is neuropathy, knee pain. And then you can convert them into cash plans and really serve that family, serve that person, and give them their life back. And then there's that cycle of life, which is really valuable.
Amen. Yeah, no, you nailed it. And Jim, I'd like to speak to that. A lot of the doctors that come to us are like, "Oh, doc, I'm saying everything, I'm doing this, I'm this," and people are saying no. So a reminder for everyone watching: when a patient says no to care, your recommendations, you didn't create enough value and trust. And it comes back to when I sit in front of someone, they're not a close. I always joke, they're not a door. You're not going to close them. I literally look at them as if they're my grandma, my grandpa. This is a person who's clearly not doing well, or they won't be in your office. It's up to me to figure out the pain that they're in, but the compromise that it's causing them, that emotional component. And I would add, if you're struggling in practice, you need to, if you look at any relationship with what's in it for me, that's the ego. And you need to get rid of that, because ego and pride were the first sin in this world. All lies and deceit come from ego and pride. And that's the truth. But two is, I look at them and I think, how can I best serve this person? And when you come from that, that's the spirit. And when you can make that switch and it's in you, it comes out in your words, your actions. It's just your presence. And that's what I tell clients who are struggling, brother. You got to check your ego, man. This isn't about money. This isn't about, money's a good thing. As Kanye West says, money is not everything, but not having it is. And he's a wise man. But either way, if you can come at that person and like, how can I help them? Clearly they were brought to me for a reason, everything for a reason, and it's up to me to figure out why they're really here. We call that the why. Why are they there? And once you have that, and you figure out that you got a therapy or treatment that can help get them back to that, that's how you create trust and value. And then you talk finances. And at that point, there is no sale. people, at that point, people, once they buy you, they buy the message, but they got to buy you first.
Well, I don't know if you knew this about me, but I did 600 chiropractic screenings in 2.5 years.
Wow.
And when I went out there and I served 28 days out of the month, 82 new patients a month.
Wow.
So I was out there on the front lines meeting people. And I would tell people this all the time. I don't know what you're going through because I don't live in your body, but I guarantee you one thing, if you come in and see us, we can help you.
Yeah.
And my conviction was so deep that if somebody was standing in front of me, I would say, I know that you probably don't know a whole lot about chiropractic, but I can tell you right now that if you come in, you can build a relationship with our office. You can see if we're the right fit for you. If you come in and you think it's going to work out for you, then we'll take great care of you. If you come in and you think that there's nothing there for you, then there's no strings attached for further care. But I guarantee you one thing, you're going to like us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you meet people where they are and they can feel your emotional state, like you said, there's no closing on people. There's only closing doors.
Yeah.
And when you actually build that bond with people and that rapport with people, their saddest part is when they came into that office, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because, I built that bond with them and they wanted to come in and see me, the guy that was like, yeah, we can help you. And then, the office has to step their game up and be really good clinicians on the back end to take care of the people that we send in. But, I think there's a lot to learn about this conversation today is that if you remove the ego and the pride, then you can go be a servant.
Yeah.
And what my darkest days, Dr. Matt, is when I would have to tell myself, go forth and serve, go forth and serve, go forth and serve, and find that I was a servant. And when people really come from that place of service, then that's when miracles happen.
Yeah. Just like your hat says, man, healing always begins with hope. So when you walk in my clinic, I just bless everyone. Healing to all who enter. I just declare it. And the worst thing you do is take hope from someone. So, our mission is to provide hope, healing, and health. And it happens, by the way, in that order to hope, healing, and enter to all who are broken. And what you were doing there is you were giving them hope. You were being a light.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a light, no matter how dark a room is, no matter how dark this world is, the light will always win. That shadow that is cast right now will eventually come to light in this. And that's with anything, health, life, lies, it's just all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Jim, I can say this, hopefully I can say this on here, but I mean, we live in a world right now where we live in a fallen world and it's clear to see there's a lot of darkness, but you can't focus on that, right? You can only focus on being your own light and doing what you've been gifted with, like with you, your Chiro Hustle podcast. Me, my practice, or Dr. Rob and I are, our ministry for helping chiropractors attain personal, professional, and financial freedom.
So Dr. Matt, people want to work with you. I'm sure they do. Where's some web resources we can send them to?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can go to clinic-masters.com. That's the quickest way to get a hold of us. If you get on there, make sure you watch our commercial. I think you'll get a kick out of it. Dr. Rob and I put a lot of heart and soul into that thing. But yeah, Clinic-Masters. You can, of course, find us on Facebook. And so that's probably the quickest way to get a hold of us. And now there's links and numbers and so forth. So that's probably the quickest way. Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate it, man. This is a really heart-centered, Christ-centered interview with you today. I know that you come from a really strong place of faith, and I would like to see more people become more successful with your systems that are low volume and high fees.
Yeah.
And, getting people the care that they need through systems that you guys have created. And I'm really excited to see what's possible for you guys as you develop this business.
Yeah. Well, Jim, I really appreciate that blessing. And our goal is, if you're struggling, if you're hitting not for everyone. We want docs that have achieved some success, but a lot of our docs that come to us are high volume, X high volumes. And I once heard it this way: there's old pilots and bold pilots, but there's no old, bold pilots. There's high volume and there's old chiropractors, but there's no high volume, old chiropractors. So most of our docs have been through that. I've been through it. Rob's been through it. it's cool for a minute. And again, it stokes your ego, but we're all about seeing less, making more, collecting 6 figures a month, which, if you're less than 1% of chiropractors breach $1 million a year in collections. Rob and I have done it multiple times in multiple clinics. We both built multiple clinics multiple times. You're not selling your soul to get these people into care. It's just, you tell them what's wrong. We give you the results to back it up and the therapies and treatments and procedures. And it's all from the heart too. Proverbs 27:17 is our iron sharpens iron, man sharpens man. I mean, it's no different. We're here to help each other out in this short time in life.
Well, brother, I'm blessed to have you on to episode 405 of the Chiro Hustle podcast.
Wow.
And I want you to have an awesome day up there in beautiful North Dakota.
Yes, sir.
And I look forward to the next time we get a chance to connect.
Yep. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.
All right, man. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.